special morning out there, and this is the first episode of your trailer podcast. On this episode, we are going to discuss why and how social media strategy is a crucial part of every organization's development and, of course, in achieving their goal. We realize that there are thousands and thousands of organizations across the world who do not have a social media strategy. Reason being, maybe many of them think that it is not necessary to have social media strategy. You just have to go and post whatever you want to post. No, every organization needs a social media strategy. Therefore, this topic we are going to split it into two. One is going to focus on social media strategy for advocacy, while the other will focus on social media strategy for business. But on this episode, we are solely going to focus on social media strategy for advocacy. So let's get it round. So you realize that social media advocacy is the use of digital technology to contact, inform, and mobilize a group of concerned people around an issue or cause. So the purpose of digital advocacy is to galvanize supporters to take action. So you realize that a campaign should have a long-term strategy and aim that goes beyond the simple online ads. It should utilize appropriate technology, tools, or platforms for the relevant audience. It should fit within a wider campaign and support that campaign. Let's take example. The online person corruption could have a simple online ask of click our tweet and sign the online petition. But this online petition does not stop at the website, does not stop at social media. The petition is printed and presented to members of parliament. So therefore, you will realize that your cause has gone beyond social media. But where it started is obviously social media. Because through social media, you get to reach out to so many people out there. The other thing you need to put into place when you are drafting your social media strategy is you have to define your goals. Defining your goals means a lot in this strategy. So before beginning even the formation of your social media strategy, you must identify the overarching goals, aims, and objectives of the wider campaign. What is the issue you are addressing? What are the indications of change? What does success look like? How will you measure this success? So in many of us, in our case, we define success in many ways. Like in social media, I can define success as reach the number of people that you are talking to. If your aim is purely to get a message out there, then a simple number of eyes that have viewed the content will give you the analytics you need. For example, 1,200 people saw your Facebook post. That is a success to you. It could also be interest to some people. How much your audience has been driven to share, like, retweet, or comment on your content. This takes reach and refines it slightly to those members of your audience that were interested enough to engage with you in some way. For example, of the 1,200 people who saw your Facebook post, 300 of them shared and 600 people of them liked it. So that's a very good step. You also want to know that influence is also part of a success in some social media strategy. Are you simply using social media as a communication medium to drive people to a secondary action? This could be an online petition or other ads. For example, of the 1,200 people who saw your Facebook post, 700 of them clicked through to find out more information on your website. That is very good. It means trafficking. You are trafficking people from your online presence, that is your social media, to your website. The next step when drafting your social media strategy, what you should consider is mapping out your audience. It's very important. What do you want to talk to? Who do you want to talk to? How do they interact with you? What are their habits, their likes, their dislikes, their passions? With digital platform, they can be found. So you should be able to map out all these things before you start, in fact, drafting your social media strategy. Under your audience, there are 3 components that you also should define very well. Key audience. Start with the basic demographics of the people you most want to talk to. Are you talking to women of particular age, living in a particular community? What are some assumptions that are known about them? The other audience is your allies, who might support you in your aims and objectives, who could potentially recruit to spread word about your campaign. These could be other organizations, individuals, government representatives, community leaders, or celebrities, in fact. And the last one is the opponent. Identify the main opponents to your campaign, those that are already actively working against your aims. Obviously, they are there. Or those who are likely to start opposing what you are planning to do. So you should be able to know who are going to oppose you when identifying your audience. The other step is identifying your targets. Your target in a campaign is somewhat different to an audience. It might look the same, but they are somewhat different. There may be some overlap, but the target is the end game person, organization, or group that will most impact on the achievement of your overall aim. Let's say single positive change target that is usually take on the form of a politician, community leader, head of an organization, or other important figurehead. This person has the personal power to make change happen, so you need to identify them very well. The other target should be community target. This usually involves the formation of an education campaign aimed at increasing knowledge, understanding, or support for an issue. The final one is single negative change target. A negative change target is different to the above example that I've given you, in that you are aiming to change their existing bad activities into good one. Maybe they have a thought about your cause, they have a bad thought about your cause, but you want to change it into good because they have no knowledge about it. So in explaining to them, they get to change from bad to good. So you should be able to map out those ones. So the other step in developing social media is obviously developing your content. Content is everything on social media. Your messaging is essentially everything you intend to say that will back up, support, and make your campaign. Let's say the narrative for success. Most of us will say start by writing out what success for the campaign looks like. Obviously, try and visualize the result of your work coming to fruition. What do you want to achieve, and what impact will it have on the issue? How frequent do you want to post, and which platforms do you want to post on? This one is very important. You don't need to be on every social media platforms. After mapping out your audience, you should be able to know where you can find them. That is very important in this game. And also, how frequent do you want to post on social media? Because social media has algorithm. You don't want to post today and you will never post again until next month. No, that's not how it works. You should have a strategy. Say, Monday, this is what I'm going to post. Tuesday, this is what I'm going to post. Or if you know you cannot post every day, then start with 3 days. Monday, I'm going to post this. Wednesday, post this. Friday, post this. So you are being consistent. Consistently posting makes the algorithm recognize you that, okay, this day, this particular platform is going to post. Otherwise, you are going to miss out on the algorithm. The other content you should figure out is the fact. The fact is the frequently asked question. So preparing a frequently asked question is helpful in all communication. Try and identify all the potential questions that could be directed towards you and write down appropriate answers to each. So So this one is very important, so that as soon as someone asks you this, you already have an answer for it. The right one is areas of responsibility. Start by defining each area of responsibility. This may be a thematic one, obviously, such as one person to work on climate change issue. It could be platform based, such as one person to use Twitter and another to use Facebook on behalf of the campaign. So you will know that one person cannot handle all these platforms at once effectively. So you realize some people are very good at using Facebook, give them Facebook to use. Others are Twitter monsters, give them Twitter, Instagram. So you should make sure that the responsibility is well defined. Each of them know what they are posting on behalf of your campaign. The final one is time frames. Time is very important in this thing. Social media was not created for activism, to be clear. It was never created for activism. No central campaigning, of course. It was created as a personal communication tool. And as people communicate at all hours of the day, you need to recognize this and take necessary measures. You need to know when your audience are always online. You need to know that. So you don't post at a time that they are not online. They got to miss that particular post because the algorithm is just filtering and feeding people all the time. Now the other step of this social media whole thing is the platforms. Using social media platforms is very important. Given the wider number and range of social networks available, it is not possible to outline the specific of each in this strategy. Therefore, I am about to opt to provide information over 3 of the largest and most popular social media platforms. So I will give you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's my own definition of most popular platform. These are the 3 most popular platforms. So you realize that on Facebook we will have ads. Facebook provides advertisers with a huge amount of personal information they have extracted from their individual users, making advertising on the site incredibly accurate to specific demographics. Any specific information profile about the sex, age, location, interest, association, etc. can become a factor in targeting the most receptive audience to a piece of advertising. That's how crazy Facebook is. Facebook is the only social media platform that has so much information about its members. So if Facebook knows what you think, Facebook knows where you live, who you are, what your interest is. Facebook knows a whole lot of things, and as social media marketers, this is what we leverage on. We use the data, even though you have to pay some amount of money, but it worth it for your campaign. Second one is mapping software. If your campaign has location-based information, it can be helpful to map this out to show the relationship between events, incident, and other information. We have Google Maps, we have Google Ads, so we have so much platform, so much software out there that you can use as a campaigner to make sure that your campaign is successful. We also have to look at web services. Even though this strategy is focused on social media platforms, it is important to note that supporting resources, information, communication channel will likely be needed on websites that support your campaign. A website can serve as a home for all. This online action usually takes the form of a simple form field attached to a petition or a letter. You can also have blogs. You have very good people who can write blogs for you. While your website should hold concise, comprehensive information about your campaign, your blog should be treated as an ongoing record of what you are doing. Maybe at the beginning of your campaign, you talk about how you started, the difficulties, and at the later part you experience something else. This one should be included also. So your blog should be refreshing all the time. You have to. Then this one too is very important. You need to have newsletter, because most blogs and websites will produce an RSS feed which allows supporters to subscribe to your updates. So once people subscribe to your updates, your newsletter, they get to receive information, new updates anytime you update it. Now let's go to the final stages of this strategy. After doing all this campaign, everything that we have stated, now you need to monitor the conversion. So search, you have to do a simple search for the topic you are working on. Find out what people are already saying, who else is working on this. So you can do this on any platform. Search about the topic that you or your campaign. You will see how people are talking about it, whether there are other people also working on the same issue, so you can collaborate to do it. Give credit where credit is due. You are attempting to be part of a wider conversion. So recognize that you are not the only player in the field. Obviously, anything you are doing here, you're not forced to start it. Even if you start, someone else is doing it. So give credit to where it's due. So we also need to talk about the online engagements, how to engage online. After posting your content, how do you engage with your audience? First, you need to know how to respond to criticism. It is important to be ready for correction, clarification. You really need to know that. Some people might not understand, some people might against you, not because they want to, because they don't know what you are doing. So you also need to have the public fact. Use your prepared, frequently asked question where possible as a first point of reference. When people ask about something, you give them answer right away, because people want to have answers as soon as possible. As soon as they ask the question, they need answer for it. But that's for public one. You also have private, frequently asked questions. There will always be some issues that you may not wish to make public unless prompted. In your campaign, there are certain confidentialities that you will want to, of course, disclose online. That is what we call private, frequently asked questions. So you need to know those kind of questions. So once someone asks about it, you get to their personal inbox and explain it to them, and they will understand. Now we come back to social media managers. You have to identify your social media manager who will be responsible of answering questions on behalf of your campaign. Be very mindful of who you select to do this. If you have people who are short-tempered, obviously they are going to ruin your campaign. The person has to be patient, because when you are advocating for a cause, people are going to say so many things about it. So you need to take your time to do that. The most important one here is use your followers. As your campaign grows, so will your supporters base. These people clearly agree with your aims and should be empowered to support you in times of criticism. So there are people who will fight for you online because they believe in what you do. So use them to your own advantage. Let them answer some question for you. Let them fight for you. This is very important in anything you do. Now, after doing all these things that we've just discussed, it's time to evaluate. But you need to evaluate your own success depending on how you define. I don't know what your success will look like, so I'll just tell you how to evaluate success in campaign. It might be different campaign to campaign. The most powerful aspect of using digital tools such as social media is the hard data collection that is possible, usually collected and displayed live. So in social media we have analytics. The data collected by various social networks is known as analytics and can provide clear quantitative data for your campaign. We also have Facebook likes, the number of times a piece of content has been liked on Facebook. Twitter retweets, the number of times a single tweet has been reshared on Twitter. So you have click-through, the number of times a link has been clicked and the viewer gone through to view the link's content. We also have share, we have view. So there are so many things that you can define and of course evaluate your particular campaign. From all that I've said, the most important thing now is education. Digital campaigning, particularly when utilizing social media, it's an ever-changing environment. That's why us the social media personals, every day we learn something from social media because it keeps on changing every day. What is good today, tomorrow is going to be bad on social media. New platforms, new tools, new methods and strategies are constantly evolving, and there's always time to learn more about what you are doing and particularly what you could be doing. It is therefore important to keep up your education on these matters. So I just want to share with you some platforms that you can go and learn about this social media stuff. We have Mashable. Mashable is a new site devoted to the use of social media. We also have DigiActive, a collective devoted to producing guidebooks on digital technology for activism. This is very important. I have learned so much from this platform. You also have Meta Activist Project. It's a think tank devoted to the study of digital activism. Now, finally, monitor the work of other organizations on social media. Like I said, you are not the only one doing this particular course. There are some other people doing it. They are ahead of you. There's no shame to go on their platform. Look what they do. Look how they draft their content. Look how they engage with their audience and learn from it. Then you will be the best social media campaigner ever. On this note, I thank you very much for listening to this first episode of our trailer podcast. I hope you learned anything from it. If you have any question, I'm always open. If you want to start drafting your social media strategy, I can be very helpful in doing so. Until then, let me see you on episode 2 of social media strategy. But like I said, that is going to focus on social media strategy for business. Thank you. Bye bye.